just 101s, like entry level electives type. Like we're gonna learn to use stippling and all the different drawing techniques. But like I didn't get far enough to get into the history of things or anything like that. It was just basic electives. So like I consider myself mostly self-taught for that reason.
Is there anything specific about East Orange that growing up in East Orange that you remember?
Definitely spending a lot of time with my grandmother. I would say like she probably like my biggest muse. She put a lot of my creative first due to her. Like she gave me a Polaroid camera. I'm like 5, 6 years old, taking pictures of family. She was the first person that I remember taking me outside of East Orange, even if it was not necessarily like art related, but just seeing other things outside of what I was seeing on the daily. You know, she made me watch The Wiz. She put me on Hall of Notes. That's my dog. One of the biggest reasons why I do it, for sure.
Where you grew up, the streets was very close.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to, like it wasn't like you had to avoid it more than go to it.
It was right there.
So, I mean, did you have any experiences that, like any crazy things that were involving you or friends or something or like that growing up?
I don't think it ever really got that far. Like, cause this was all like puberty type years, like
Those years be the hardest.
yeah. So from
you have
like
no control over how far you can go.
So from like 12 to like 14, 15, that's when it was most active. That's where like I feel like if you in that situation or you close to that situation, a lot of times like that's where you pick the path at the fork in the road. Like you either end up in something where you stuck there, or luckily for me, you got people that care about you on a deeper level that's not gonna let you do that. Like my dad was well known around there, like still is. Like that was his neighborhood, so it's like he didn't have to do any of that shit. So like therefore, I don't. So you got the people that's basically influencing, knowing who my dad is. Like, hey, like you don't need to be outside at this hour. Like you need to go focus on something else. Like I was never really allowed. So it wasn't really no moment. It was just like, nah, this ain't for me,
Mm-hmm.
Like I like women, I like dressing nice. I want to go do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna work on that.
So towards the end of your adolescence, I would say like 18, 19, what were you doing around that time?
I was in college for creative writing.
What school?
Wilkes University, like in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, man. Like 20 minutes outside of Scranton.
Okay.
Like the office type place, and predominantly white school. But I chose the school because my grandma, Rose, the one I was referring to earlier, she had moved out there. So I spent a lot of summers out there, and I found out they had a college, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead. Because school never really clicked for me. Like I never saw myself as like a scholar, but it's like, coming from my family, it's like, yo, you going to school because we ain't go to school. So you got to do that. So I tried it a couple years, and I ended up dropping out because I didn't know myself. You know what I mean? I would feel like I was just wasting money. Independence, that form of independence, like not having nobody telling you in your ear, like, hey, you need to do this. Like you could do whatever you want. I wasn't used to that. So like I fell off. And during that time, I took some art classes, but nothing really stuck. And then I ended up just working regular jobs for the next 8 years after that.